This is the 10 hours GMT edition, part B of the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo editions. The idea of morality having any place in the thoughts or thinking of the liar Johnson is an impossible idea. And here on the Daily Mail, the corrupt criminal, racist Daily Mail, showing the audacity to connect this liar with morality. He says, too many have lost moral clarity on Israel. This shitbag is personification of evil and immorality, criminality, racism, anti Muslim, hatred. And the lying Daily Mail, the criminals, are given platform. Not only are they giving him the platform, but they're giving him the platform to paint him as if she even understands the idea of morality and ethics. This criminal, Boris Johnson, is an evilness personified as the incumbent at number 10 Downing Street at the crucial time when the prostitute judges in the London High Court, especially Griffiths and Murray, lied and showed contempt to even the law, let alone morality, as they said that the universal values of facts, objective facts, didn't matter. If the Secretary of State was minded to commit murder of an innocent, then the Secretary of State should be allowed to do so. That was as part of the narrative that the prostitutes, Griffiths and Murray, were spewing against the baby angel Geronimo. In 2021, and the evilness Boris Johnson went along with it. As did the evilness, the murderer, political murder of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, and assorted criminals being paid to tell lies in various parts of the lying British media. And to put a rubber stamp on the DEFRA criminals' plot against the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. And there's a serialization in the Daily Mail of the piece, well, so called book by Linda McDougall. And this part, which appears to be the serialization launch part, the heading is I went to bed with your husband 6 times and it wasn't satisfactory. That's what Marcia Falkbender, allegedly, according to Linda McDougall anyway, told Mary Wilson, wife of Harold Wilson. I mean, what's news? So why is the Times parading this criminal, Peter Mandel shit? Saying why it's taken me 27 years to marry the love of my life? On page 8 of the Times, the heading is No Reason to Doubt 7,000 Death Toll in Gaza, says the United Nations. Well, multiply that by the number of years that the Zionist state has been massacring Palestinians. 80 years. So massacres, every day, one massacre or another. So 80 years. How many millions of Palestinians massacred by the Zionist state of Israel? And the United Nations is not there on the front page of the Times, although the subject of the Times front page piece, the news piece that is of course the Zionist state's attacks on the Palestinians. It says Iran hijacking the UK protests. Well, I'll read that again because I've added a D there. Iran hijacking UK protests. Now contrast that with the front page of the so-called News Voices, edited by a so-called NUJ left Aidan White. I mean, it is supposed to be News Voices, but it could as well be News Dead. Aidan White is an idiot. He has no fucking idea about journalism and no idea about the topicality. And he's an anti Muslim, ignorant idiot. He says, across Neom, where a large number of residents are of Muslim origin, fuck him. He is to be you shit. Why can't he say Muslim? Does he other version of some other faith? So the distortion goes on like that and it's falling asleep. Now the contrast to that is the lively heading. Hateful but lively. Iran hijacking UK protests. Now, of the 4 words, 3 are absolutely active and spot on. So, as Israel expands operations in Gaza, police tell of Tehran agents inflaming tensions in Britain. Now, what else should they be doing? If the British public are zombified, brainwashed little Englanders surrendering all their thinking faculties, who else is to come into the breach? But the Iranians, in context, Fiona Hamilton, chief reporter, Richard Spencer, Tel Aviv, Charlie Parker, Matt Deschamps. So it says Iranian agents are creating unrest in Britain by stoking Gaza protests, senior police have said, as they prepare for a fresh round of demonstrations today, which is Saturday, the 28th of October 2023. Now, what should they do? Instead of stoking protests, etc., should they encourage people to stage prayers like the idiot, stupid Indian White and say the prayer for the souls of the massacred, of the genocided Palestinians? For the Israeli Zionist state has no alternative but to bash them, to commit genocide on them. On page 6 of the Times today, the heading says Civil Service Chief Johnson's was Trump level mad. Of course. And there is a two-page spread on pages 14 and 15 of the Times, peddling the chairwoman who was accused of bullying staff, telling Stephen Swinford of her months of agony and relief at being cleared. Now, this is an ethnic surrogate called Lady Baroness Faulkner of Margravians. Margravians. She was told that an investigation into allegations of bullying, harassment, and discrimination from staff at the Equality and Human Rights Commission was being dropped. The thing that matters to me almost the most, is that I got a formal apology, she said. It was a real apology. That means a lot. Faulkner, the chairwoman of the EC, has been under formal investigation by her own organization since February. In that time, she has spent £30,000 on lawyers. She has thought about quitting almost every day and been repeatedly reduced to tears. She said her reputation had been traduced and at times destroyed, leaving her humiliated. What is it about then? One, two, three, four. That's the fourth paragraph, and there is no fucking statement of fact. Allies of Faulkner say she has been the victim of a witch hunt. Because of her forthright position on trans issues. In April, she wrote to the government suggesting the Equality Act should be changed to introduce explicit protections for biological women in same sex spaces, such as changing rooms and hospital wards. Through it all, she has kept her counsel, refusing to speak out despite damaging leaks and repeated briefings against her. In an interview with the Times, she gives her side of the. For the first time, she asked, "Why am I still here after what happened?" I'll read that again because I have misread one word. Why am I still here after what's happened? When you are confronted with the sort of thing of turning point of being told you are not who you thought you were, you walk away. That's probably the rational thought to do. I'll read that whole thing again. When you are confronted with a sort of turning point of being told you are not who you thought you were, you walk away. That's probably the rational thing to do. I thought, this can't be right. I've got to clear my name. I've got to clear my name, yeah? Faulkner's ordeal began on February the 21st, when the chief executive of the ECHRC and one of her deputies asked her for a video meeting. She offered to come into the office, but was told they wanted to do it remotely. At 5 p.m., I got home and could see why they wanted to do it virtually, she said. I was told there were complaints from members of staff. It subsequently transpired that in one case there were just general concerns about the running of the organization overall. The other two were personal, and they were unabated allegations of potential bullying, harassment, and discrimination. They said, "We will be writing to you tomorrow morning." I was told they would be lawyering up, appointing an independent person. Her reaction was twofold. The first being shock. I simply didn't believe it. She said, "You think, come on, get real, guys. I'm going to wake up and it was all a bad dream." There is a sense of disbelief because you are hearing that, but you are also calculating the damage to the organization. How many people know will it lead? Her second reaction was to establish if she had the support of Kemi Badenoch, the Women and Equalities Minister. She said that's the proper behavior of a public servant because you need to find out if the people who appointed you have confidence in you. Badenoch did not accept her resignation, and she was told to continue in the role. While the investigation continued, the ECHR appointed an independent QC to look into the case. And for the first time in her life, Faulkner realized she needed a lawyer. The next day, she went on a prearranged holiday, but spent her time holed up in her hotel room on a laptop trying to secure legal representation. 10 weeks later, she received details of the case against her. She asked for a hard copy and was given more than 1,400 pages. My lawyers had to read them, she said. This gets really expensive quickly. Reading the complaints was awful, she said. It's third parties describing in interviews and writing what they think. It's months and months of crying, of feeling desperately sorry. Because if you didn't write an intemperate email, you never expected that person to take it like that. And it goes and on. She suggested that the complaints stemmed from different approach. In my time, there was something called performance management, she said. You didn't expect it to have the impact. If you are writing a letter to someone, it has to be addressed properly. If somebody had written in to complain about something, it's normal to read letters and documents answering. It's professionalism. But some people have better office maintenance. I'll read that again. It's professionalism. But some people have better office manners than others. And I suggest I have learned a lot. through improving my manners in this regard. Bullying is not defined in law. That's because there is inevitably an element of subjectivity. Before Faulkner had made her case to the internal investigation, news of the allegation was leaked. Channel 4 broadcast a story detailing the claims, including suggestions of a toxic working and that she rolled her eyes at staff. Faulkner won't speculate on the motive, but the impact on her life has been devastating. She said, "It's embarrassing. My first concern was staff. The staff didn't know any of this was happening. Just wanting to rush out a statement to them to say it's not true. It isn't me." But you can't do that because you haven't proven it. It's not true. I was told by someone, a work colleague, that if I didn't know you personally, I would think you are a monster. You feel destroyed. If you spend as long as I have in public service, I thought I had built up a reputation of being careful, considerate, moderate. Faulkner said that most hurtful aspect was that an opportunity had been lost. The most hurtful thing about the leak of the dossier is I felt there may have been some learning for everyone. I was certain that whoever decided it was a good idea to leak that didn't have the interest of the organization at heart. The investigation was paused amid concerns at the leaks to Channel 4. In effect, noticed the potential outcome of the inquiry. Faulkner's lawyers suggest the claims against her were viewed 6 million times on television and online, resulting in 57 news articles. The investigation was resumed on the 13th of July. It stopped again when Badenoch appointed an independent KFC to review the process. That review suggested there were process failures in the investigation, ultimately leading to it being dropped this week. For Faulkner, the biggest question is one of proportionality. Her own legal costs may have come to more than £30,000. The ECHR's costs are more than £200,000. She suggested that people in public roles should be given insurance to cover potential legal costs. In these jobs, you are doing it for public service. She said, "I approached my response department." I'll read that again. "I approached my sponsor department. I asked if they would support me. They said, no, you are not getting it." Faulkner makes clear, however, that she is here to stay. She said, "If I have in any way contributed to a diminution of the organization's purpose, then it is my responsibility, in fact, my duty now, to work harder than ever before to deliver the public interest." Now, this is talking about the equalities. This is talking about equalities and Human Rights Commission, which is a completely, absolutely corrupt and criminal, racist organization that was superimposed on the previous structure, represented mainly by the Commission for Racist Enslavement, CRE, mainly by Harriet Hattie the racist liar Harman when she was in Tony Blair's cabinet, and she used, as I've said in a relevant previous broadcast, she abused the mentor slave Trevor Terrible Phillips to destroy the previous structure along the line of the Race Relations Act, anti discrimination laws, etc., etc., and superimpose this, which is to reinforce racism in society, in the state sector, in any way. And this Faulkner, let's check on the entry on her as it stands today at this time, the wiki entry to see what she is described as. Well, it doesn't say much about her education, does it? She, the only clue about her is that before she became Faulkner, her maiden name was Iman. So she could be from Pakistani origin, but most certainly she is of Muslim background. That's all. Doesn't say whether she went to college, university, or anything. She was a lip dumb. Now, here is the reference to the LSE, where it says that she got a BSc in international relations. And from the University of Kent, she got an MA in international relations and European studies. And there is a reference to the fact that she was born in Pakistan. Kishwar Khan. She is not really somebody that would could be described as being anything but a stooge. This ECHR was by a stooge, and it has been a stooge organization, anti-Muslim, anti-Palestinian, absolutely pro-racist. So we shall be leaving her on one side and move on to other bits. There is nothing in the ECHR that can be worth commending. And there is a continuing follow-up piece about Nasty Faraj being debanked, and his claim that Alison Rose, the former NatWest boss, should be allowed to keep the £10 million. For us, apart from the fact that the Daily Mail has the audacity to link the liar criminal Boris Johnson with any aspect of morality at all. This is the piece about two. Again, the follow up to last Sunday's Sunday Times kind of prestige about the HS2, because we have published more original, factual accounts of the HS2 criminality than any outlet whatsoever. Now, HS2 bills that added up to a train crash, from a five-star hotel to a selfie booth. George Greenwood and Ben Clatworthy report how the budget went off track. So one, two, three, four, five columns on page 18 of the Times today. On July the 3rd, 2018, the projected bill for HS2 was already 22 billion above original estimates. Yet that evening, at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant, executives enjoyed a meal at the taxpayer's expense after a board meeting. It's only one example of how costs at the beleaguered project were allowed to balloon out of control. A five-star hotel in Barcelona for conference and the 100 million contract with cost management consultants are other examples identified by a Times editor of spending by staff behind Europe's biggest infrastructure project. The analysis is of 10,000 items of expenditure, including contracts and spending on government procurement, cards. It helps to explain why bosses at HS2 have been accused of acting like the kids with the golden credit card. The Times has confirmed that at least two engineering experts who previously worked on the project have written to the Serious Fraud Office to raise their concerns about mismanagement of public funds. It is understood that at least a dozen major, I'll read that again. It's understood that at least a dozen more junior staff on the project, including from HS2 Limited, the government owned company tasked with delivering the scheme, Department for Transport, and major contractors have all submitted documents to the Serial Fraud Office. The Times can reveal that HS2 was previously investigated by the SFO, which cleared the publicly owned company of wrongdoing in 2021. It is not known what the investigation examined. The analysis of spending data shows the company spent £231,000 on a golf course architecture firm, £900 on a selfie booth, and £1,600 on a digital disruption course for staff on the project. The agency also paid £105,000 for staff to attend conferences and ceremonies, despite not a single mile of track having been laid and costs running out of control. Last year, despite spiraling claims of mismanagement, the company won the major capital projects category at the CIR Risk Management Awards. Rishi Sunak cancelled phase 2 of the scheme at the Conservative Party conference this month after the project's cost ballooned from £30 billion when it was first announced to more than £100 billion. The first phase of the railway between Old Oak Common in West London and Birmingham is now not expected to open until 2029-33. It had originally been planned to open in 2026. The central section to Euston in central London may only open in 2035 if funding can be secured. A blame game has erupted in recent weeks, with those involved in the project ensuring the government and its desired specification for the railway for the rising costs. Sources, however, allege a lack of transparency within HS2, badly drawn up contracts, lack of oversight of contractors, and a willingness to throw extra money at problems without scrutiny. All of this we have said in more extensive detail and consistently over the last 10 years. And this is part of the scenario that the experience of baby angel Geronimo at the hands of the DEFRA criminals at the hands of the prostitute judges in the High Court, Griffiths and Murray, actually are about. There was no rigor, there was no honesty, there was no truth, there was no truthfulness, there was no morality, there was no ethics whatsoever. When they promoted the project, the narrative, the lie that baby angel Geronimo was carrying bovine tuberculosis, baby angel Geronimo never did. So the fact that despite the fact that they knew they were lying, they carried on lying, shows a state of immorality that defies condemnation. We shall be continuing in the next editions. We'll end this one, part B, at 50 minutes duration, 11:44 British Standard Time, 10:44 GMT on Saturday, the 28th of October 2023.